Hello friends, welcome to my channel Science Unearthed. Today our topic is Environment Part 2 because this topic is very big, so I have divided it into so many parts, and today we will discuss Part 2. So this is Part 2 of our environment. Now please share, subscribe and like my video. Now let's go to our topic. This is our environment. So in this environment part 1, I discussed about the producers. But today I will discuss producers in detail because this is the basic thing of this topic. So what are producers? Producers are organisms that create their own food and are the foundation of an ecosystem. It means these are the main thing or the base of the ecosystem. Producers are green plants, and all the green plants, as we know, they have chlorophyll in their body. So this chlorophyll is uh, is the main thing which is used in preparing food in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process of preparing food in green plants. As we have earlier discussed, that plants, they take carbon dioxide from air, water from earth, chlorophyll is present in their body, and they take sunlight from sun. By by taking all these things, they produce food that is known as carbohydrate. And the process by which they produce food is known as photosynthesis. Now, these things, carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, and sunlight, all these are inorganic substances, and by the process of photosynthesis, they are converted into carbohydrates that are organic substances. So this is the process of photosynthesis by which producers or the green plants prepare their own food. So they are known as producers. These organisms produce their own food by using simple inorganic substances. Producers are autotrophic organisms. In earlier video, I had discussed about autotrophs. They are the organisms that produce their own food. They are capable of producing their own food. So they are known as autotrophs. And they do not depend on others for their food. Autotrophic nutrition is that mode of nutrition in which an organism makes its own food from simple inorganic materials like carbon dioxide, water, etc., which are available in surroundings. Now, autotrophs convert simple inorganic molecules into more complex organic molecules. There are two types of autotrophic nutrition. Number one is photoautotrophic and number two chemoautotrophic. In photoautotrophic nutrition, sunlight is used to convert inorganic molecules into organic molecules. Number two, chemoautotrophic nutrition. In this type of nutrition, chemical reactions are used to convert inorganic molecules into organic molecules. Examples are green plants, blue-green algae, and cyanobacteria. These are the examples which perform this type of nutrition. Now, number two is consumers. Those organisms which eat food prepared by producers are called consumers. As for example, there is a plant and there is one goat, GOAT. So this goat will eat green plant, and in turn this goat is eaten by a lion. So in this chain, in this food chain, consumer is consumer is goat because it consumes green plant. This is primary consumer. Consumers are those organisms that eat other organisms, hence all animals are known as consumers. Example, man, goat, deer, fish, loin, cow, and buffalo. So all of them, they consume other organisms as their food. As for example, man takes fruits and vegetables. Some of the men, they take meat also, goat, deer, fish, loin, all of them, they take food from other organisms. There are two types of food intake mechanisms in consumers. Number one, direct consumers. If an animal eat green plants and plant products, then we can say that consumers are taking food directly from producers. As I have given one example earlier, example of goat. Goat eats grass or a plant. So this is primary consumer. It means this is primary consumer. And this consumer or the goat uh, is taking food directly from plants. So this is the direct consumer. Number two, indirect. If an animal eats an animal, then we can say that consumer is eating producer indirectly. So we can take one example. Plant, number two, goat, number three, loin. So goat eats plant and the loin eats goat. In this food chain, as we see that the loin is taking food indirectly from plants. Means loin is not taking directly. So consumers are divided into three parts. Number one, herbivores. Herbivores are animals that primarily eat plants, such as fruits, seeds, leaves, flowers, and roots. Some animals eat only plants. The herbivore may eat grass, leaves, grains, fruits, and bark of trees. So this type of consumers, that is herbivores, they take only plant and plant products, not the meat. Examples are cow, hippopotamus, buffalo, goat, sheep, horse, deer, camel, ox, elephant, monkey, squirrel, rabbit, etc. Now, these type of consumers, which are herbivores, they have a special digestive system. Herbivores have special digestive tracts that can handle different types of plants. Some herbivores, like horses, zebras, and elephants, are, are hindgut fermenters, which means they have a side pocket in their small intestine, side pocket in their small intestine. This is a special part that is attached to small intestine where undigested food is fermented by bacteria. It means the food which is left undigested, that is further digested in this part, side pocket, and the process is fermentation by which it is further digested. Now these type of consumers, they have a special type of teeth. Herbivores have large front teeth called incisors for grasping and cutting plants, and molars in the back for grinding them up. So they have a special type of teeth. Animals which get their food by eating the producers directly are called primary consumers. Next is carnivores. Some animals eat only other animals. They don't eat plant for their survival. They are known as carnivores. A carnivore is an animal or plant whose nutrition and energy requirements are met by consumption of animal tissues as food. It means they take meat of other animals as food. So this type of animals are called as carnivores. Example: lion, tiger, vulture, wolf, snake, hawk, etc. Lion is a carnivore because it eats only meat for survival. Lion is also known as obligate carnivore because of its sole dependence on animal tissues for food and nutrition. The small carnivores which feed on herbivores are called as secondary consumers. Example: lizard, frog, birds, etc. The large carnivores which feed on the small carnivores are called as tertiary consumers. Next is omnivores. Some animals eat both plants as well as animals. Those animals are known as omnivores. Omnivores can be found in a wide range of sizes, from tiny insects to large mammals, including humans. It means they take meat and plants both as their food. Examples: man, dog, bear, ant, crow, etc. So these are called as omnivores. Now I will discuss a special type of microorganisms which are both producers and consumers. And these special type of microscopic organisms are called as planktons. Planktons are very microscopic organisms that float freely on the surface of water in lakes, rivers, ponds, and oceans. Free floating algae is the best example. Planktons are of two types: zooplanktons, microscopic aquatic animal who are freely floating on the surface of water, are known as zooplanktons. They are small animals that feed on phytoplanktons. They are food source for predators like fish and whales. So in this system, it means these are the microorganisms that float freely on the surface of water. So there is a setup of taking food. As for example, phytoplankton, they prepare their own food with the help of photosynthesis. They are preparing food, and the food prepared by phytoplankton is taken or consumed by zooplanktons. So the example of phytoplankton is algae that is free floating on the surface of water. Now next thing is decomposers. Decomposers are organisms that break down dead or decaying organisms. They carry out decomposition. As for example, in a forest, there are certain dead bodies of animals and birds, so they exist there, and there are some decaying and dead plants also. So if these are the decomposers, these are microorganisms that decompose those dead and decaying organisms. They carry out decomposition. It means they are non-green microorganisms. Non-green means they do not contain chlorophyll in their body. So they are non-green. It means the other meaning is that they can't prepare their own food in the absence of chlorophyll. So they are non-green microorganisms, and they are bacteria and fungi. So when they are not able to prepare their own food themselves, then they will have to depend for their food on some other organisms. So they depend on dead and decaying plant and animal bodies for their food, and they perform decomposition, by which they take food from the dead and decaying material. So these microorganisms, they are uh, they are they are the microorganisms that do not contain chlorophyll. Another way of describing them as microorganisms which break down complex organic compounds present in dead and decaying plants and animals or their products like fishes, etc., into simple substances are called decomposers. These are called as decomposers. So, how they do this decomposition? The surface, you know that these microorganisms, they have their body. So, the surface of their body secrete a secretion, and this secretion decomposes the dead and decaying substance. So, this is the way of decomposition. Now, these decomposers, they are very important and they are very useful to us. The decomposers help in decomposing dead bodies of plant and animals, hence act as cleaning agent of environment. If these dead bodies are left undecomposed, then what will happen? These rotten substances, they will produce very poisonous gases, and those poisonous gases, they will mix with the environment or the air and will harm us. So these microorganisms or the decomposers, they decompose these dead bodies and transform into some other substances less harmful. So these are the cleaning agents of our environment. Number two, various nutrients elements which are taken by the plants from the soil. So they are returned to soil. When plants prepare their food, they take water from soil and carbon dioxide from air, and sunlight and chlorophyll is present in their body. So they take certain inorganic substances from soil. So when that plant, after the death of that plant, the decaying body, when decomposed, then it is converted into so many inorganic substances. It means these inorganic substances, they are returned to soil again, and the fertility of the soil will be maintained. So they are very helpful to us. Decomposers are very helpful for us. So this is the use. Now we will discuss food chains. Food chain is the sequence of transfer of matter and energy in the form of food from organism to organism. Anything which we eat for survival is food. Food can be transferred from one organism to another in food chain. As for example, we will take one example, grass. Grass is green plant. So it will act as producer. It means it will produce food by the process of photosynthesis. And when deer eats grass, then a deer takes food from grass. It means the food and energy both transfer to deer. Now in turn, this deer is eaten up by lion. So the energy and food which is present in the body of the deer, that is transferred to loin. So in a food chain, the energy and food both are transferred stepwise to other organisms. Food chain represents a single directional transfer of energy. It cannot take place in reverse from loin to deer to grass. So the direction of transfer of food and energy will be in one direction only. As for example, uh, this loin, this grass, when eaten up by deer, then transfer of energy is from grass to deer and then deer to loin. So this is one direction and reverse direction is not possible. So there are certain examples of food chains that is grass producer, then grass is eaten up by insect, herbivore, frog, carnivore, and bird, top carnivore. So in a food chain, there are four steps. Grass is producer, and insect, herbivore, then frog, carnivore, and the big carnivore is known as top carnivore. So these are certain uh, examples of food chains. Now, when two or more than two food chains they are interrelated, then that is known as food web. As you can see the diagram on the screen, then in this diagram, plant, rabbit takes plant, and then this rabbit is eaten by hawk. So this is one food chain. Now, if we consider other, then plant is taken by rat and rat is again taken up by hawk. So in this way, two or more than two food chains, they are interconnected, interrelated. So this is the food web. This is called as food web. So this is all for today. And in other part of this environment, we will discuss certain other things. So next video of part 3 will come and you will see that part. Then you will get to know each and everything about environment. And don't forget to share, subscribe and share my video. Thank you.